In this video, we're going to talk about the parts of the periodic table. Now, this is early in the video series, so I'm going to tell you a few things along the line that are going to be really important for you and how you can use this periodic table to be your biggest tool to help you know things without having to memorize a whole lot. And so what I suggest that you do is that you have a periodic table that you can write on. And as a matter of fact, the second copy is going to be really good. So if you don't have an extra copy, you may want to get that before you watch this video. But I'm going to go through, I'm going to label the parts of the periodic table, and I'm going to label a few things that are going to give you a little extra help along the way with the periodic table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write all over this periodic table. This periodic table is not going to be very helpful for you to look up numbers and other things on, but it's going to be a great reference for later. All right, so let's take the periodic table apart. Each section of the periodic table has a different name. Okay, so what we're going to do first on your periodic table, and I would suggest you do exactly like I'm doing, is there is this stair step that should be printed here. Now, if I get ahead of you, you will definitely want to pause the video and catch up to me. That stair step is very, very important. Okay, on this periodic table, it actually says it on this side, but this side is the non-metals. Like I said, I'm going to write all over this. Everything this direction of the stair steps are non-metals. Everything this direction are some kind of metals. Now, you don't have to have this exact periodic table, but you can write on it like this. Now, that's not specific enough, but basically on the periodic table, metals, and we know metals like copper and silver and gold, those are all located in this section of the chart, but everything from this stair step going this direction are all metals. Everything from the stair steps this direction are non-metals. Non-metals are going to be like gases, nitrogen and oxygen and chlorine and bromine. Those are all gases. Neon and helium and argon, those are all gases, and then other non-metals. Okay, but we're going to be more specific than that. The parts of the periodic table actually have names. Let's start with column number 1. Column number 1 are called the alkali metals. That whole column are called the alkali metals. Okay, alkali metals, they have a property that will be really important for you. They react with water. They react violently with water. And standardized tests love to ask that question, which elements react violently with water? When you drop pure lithium or sodium or potassium or rubidium or cesium into water, they react violently. And in one of the next videos, I will give you a video that you can watch them do that. Column number 2 are called the alkaline earth metals. And the names are so close, so you've got to make sure you write it down right. Alkaline earth metals. Okay? Alkaline earth metals. Now, I'm going to put a line. This line isn't written in here very much. I'll put this line in here, sort of like this. Okay? The middle of the periodic table are called the transition metals. Transition metals. Now, the reason I drew that line is because everything from the line to the stairs, okay, so that means it's this line, and this line, and this line, and this line. Those are all the transition metals. Okay? Transition metals. Transition metals are going to give us a problem in the year because they don't follow all the normal rules. You're going to find here in a minute that these columns there's a reason why the periodic table is set up that way, but the transition metals, these guys in the middle, tend to break the rules a lot. Okay? We already said that these are non-metals, so I'm going to just write this in the space. That makes it a little easier so that everything's written on. Those are all non-metals, all that section. Then there's a special name for the things that touch the stairs. Okay? Boron, aluminum, you'll see aluminum and silicon touch with a long side, germanium and arsenic, antimony and tellurium, polonium and acetine. These are what are called metalloids. Metalloids. They have properties of metals and nonmetals. They touch that stairs. So these are the things that can act like a metal or act like a nonmetal. This one's really important because silicon, for example, is used to make computer chips, a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's because when they add electricity, it can conduct electricity or it can let go of electricity when you turn it off. If you know computer language, it's zeros and ones, ons and offs. And so any of these could have been used in computers. There's just so much silicon in the world that it was easy to make chips out of those. All right? Now, if you look at the numbers on the periodic table, 55, 56, 57, 72. And there's in my chart right here, I have this little arrow here and this double arrow that match this and this. Now, instead of cutting the chart right here and sliding it out and trying to cram these two lines right there, so it goes 57, 58, 59, these are what are called the inner transition metals. Inner transition metals. Now that's easy to understand because they fit into the transition metals. So you have transition metals here. Inner transition metals actually fit on this line right here, but instead of cutting the chart and sliding it out, they just moved them to the bottom. Okay? So we're almost done labeling everything. Now they actually do a little bit better job of naming things. Instead of just calling everything nonmetals over here, they actually, if you're in the last column of the periodic table, those are called the noble gases. See if you can fit that in. Noble gases. That's an important word. You probably know that from middle school. And then the column right before it are called the halogens. H-A-L-O-G-E-N-S. They're very specific groups. So over on the left-hand side of the chart, you have alkali metals, alkaline earth metals. And then over here on the other side, you have noble gases and halogens. Now notice how I go back to the beginning. From the stairs going to the left. Alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, transition metals, inner transition metals. And so we said they're all metals, and they are. You'll notice that the word metals is in all of them. To the right of the stairs, they're nonmetals. Okay, and so halogens and noble gases fit into that nonmetal type. So you have all the sections of your chart. Now, we'll talk later on a little bit more trends, things like how can you look at the periodic table and know things about this element, sodium, just because of where he's located, or iodine, just because where it's located. Your periodic table is going to be your biggest tool that you use in chemistry. Okay, so these are all the parts of the periodic table. Again, great reference, but I wouldn't use this chart to use any other time for the rest of the class. You'll need another periodic table that you get all the numbers from. But these are the parts of the periodic table.